Imagine that every group, every team that you get involved with from this day forward is amazing, works together well, and is successful. Sounds a little too good to be true, right? Well, what if there were things that you could do and your fellow group members could do that would lead you to making that dream a reality? That's exactly what we'll talk about today in this video. In particular, we'll look at leadership styles, the roles of group members, how to establish goals, how to problem solve, and then what role evaluation takes in the performance of the overall group. First things first, let's look at those leaders. In its barest definition, leadership is an influence process that helps clarify a group's purpose or guide the group to achieve its goals. And the leader is a person who takes the leadership role of a particular group or team. Oftentimes in our culture, we think of the leader as the boss, the person who tells everybody what to do and how to do it. But you see, by looking at these two definitions, that's not necessarily the case. You don't even have to be formally designated as the particular leader or the boss to take a leadership role in your group. As long as you are helping and shaping how the group achieves its purpose and its goals, then in some ways, you're a leader. Now, how successful you are, or even how not successful you are as a leader, will be determined on how well you fulfill task needs and maintenance needs. Task needs are related to the content and all behaviors that lead to the completion of a task. So if you were working on a group project and you as a leader decided that you needed to focus on task needs, you would be making sure that everyone knew their job, that everyone was staying on schedule with completing their particular part of the project. If you were focusing more so on maintenance needs, you would think about the needs that related to organizing and developing a group so that members can realize personal satisfaction. So that may mean pulling everyone aside and saying, hey, we've been working really hard, and giving everybody a pep talk so they feel like, yes, this group is really meaningful to me. Or handling any conflict issues that arise. To be a successful leader, you need to be task-oriented and maintenance-oriented, especially understanding what roles your group members fall into and what they may need more of a push in. So if you have a bunch of people who are super cohesive and they work really well together and you don't have to worry about maintenance needs that much, but they kind of get distracted, task needs may be your focus. We have a group who seems to hate each other is there, you may want to focus on those maintenance needs. Now there are different types of leadership. You've all seen different kinds as well in everyday life. We have the autocratic, which is the leader who feels they need to have complete control. They will tell everybody what to do and how to do it and micromanage as it's getting done, and then tell people whether they did a good job or not. This person likes having the power. Now, a democratic leader is someone who shares control. They understand that they are there to be a mediator when needed and to facilitate the process of achieving the purpose of the group. Now, this does not mean that every single thing is up for debate. It may mean that the democratic leader helps shape how they even approach certain topics. And then you have the laissez-faire leader. This is a leader who really just gives up control. They may be a leader in namesake, but no one actually is influenced by their words or their actions. Now, while most people think about what the group leader is doing, you also need to think about what the group members are doing. So you may have those people who have the group task roles. They may be the initiators, that when everybody gets together, they're like, okay guys, let's go ahead and get started. Or you may have group members who are the information seekers. Well, before we make a vote on this particular topic, I feel like we need more information. What do we know about XYZ? And then you may have those information givers in the group who will give the information to those information seekers. You may have the person in the group who is the energizer, the person who keeps motivating everybody and says, "Come on guys, we can do it. We can achieve our goal." You may have the evaluator, also known as a critic, who evaluates all the information and conclusions and says, "You know, that's not such an accurate conclusion. Let's think about that a little bit more." You may have the orienter, who periodically summarizes different items that have been discussed. Or you may even have the coordinator, the person who clarifies and shows relationships among different ideas and viewpoints and suggestions. Now, what about those group maintenance roles? These are going to be the people who are focused on the social atmosphere of the group. Maybe the encouragers, who, similar to the energizer, motivate the group, but motivate the group to offer praise and recognize the contributions of people in the group. Those are the harmonizers, who will mediate when there's ever a conflict and try to make sure you have a positive climate overall. You even have those gatekeepers who manage the flow of interaction in the group, who may say, "Yes, it's really great that you guys are interacting and having those small talk conversations, but we should all really focus so everyone can feel heard." And then you may even have the people who are feeling expressors, who say, "You know, I feel like the group has a really good dynamic when it comes to XYZ, but I can kind of tell that we all get kind of bogged down by ABC." Now, while you definitely have those group task members and those group maintenance members, you also have those self-centered members who may be aggressors and just want to make themselves look better. You may have the blockers who don't really care about anybody else expressing their ideas. They just disagree with everything. You may have the recognition seekers who really just want to be the center of attention. The jokers, the people who will make jokes and do anything, not really to ease up the mood, but just to be the quote-unquote buffoon. You have the dominators who really want to be in charge, and so they try to take control of the conversation even when they're not in charge. And then the help seekers who just only want the group to help them do what they want to do and not what the group wants to do. And you may even have the withdrawers who just don't say anything or even do anything. They're just physically present but not really present in the moment. Keep in mind that each group member should be responsible for recognizing and handling counterproductive contributions. So it's not just the leader who needs to say, "Hey, you're being counterproductive here. We all need to work together." Group members can even come together and recognize that person's not doing their fair share, or that person keeps pulling away from the rest of the group. We should handle this issue. Now, some groups are a little bit different. These groups are teams. They usually have a goal that they have to have accomplished. While some groups can be completely relationship oriented like a family, a team wants to set the goal. That goal needs to be clear, it needs to be specific, it needs to be challenging and worthwhile. This is going to make sure that everyone understands the goal, that it's detail oriented enough, and that it gives people a reason to want to achieve it. Whenever you have a team, make sure that everyone feels responsible for something. They have a clear role in the group. When it comes to problem solving and decision making, here are 4 steps that you can take when it comes to how do we resolve this issue. First, determine and state the problem. If you don't know what the problem is, you won't be able to fix it. So if it's an internal problem, such as maybe an emotional conflict, or even a problem in how do we get to our goal? How do we raise money for this project? It's important to state that problem. And then discuss that problem. Why has this problem come about? How can we solve the problem? What would even be a solution to said problem? After you discuss the problem and you know what the solution is, start brainstorming. Well, there are different paths to that solution. What would be the best path for our group to take? Keep in mind that when you brainstorm, especially if you're the leader of this group, that you're writing down the ideas, letting everyone just get the ideas out on paper or on a board, but not really judging the ideas just yet. It's important that everyone feels like they can contribute to this process. And then lastly, start reaching that group consensus. Start eliminating the ideas that are a little bit weaker, and maybe even combining ideas to make them even stronger than they were individually. And then when the group decides, yes, as a whole, we feel like this would be a good solution for us, a good way to reach that said solution, you've now reached group consensus. Now, if you are in a group and you want to know, is this group really doing what it needs to do? Start asking yourself these questions. Are we using our time efficiently? If not, that points out to a big problem. Does everyone have an opportunity to participate? Do you have any social loafers, people who don't really feel a need to contribute? Do some people dominate the discussion? And if so, how can you make sure that they don't dominate the discussion anymore so that everyone feels included? Does each person bring adequate information and research to the discussion? If not, then maybe that mean that you want to encourage people to dig a little bit deeper, or even find out if there's something deeper there. Maybe people don't really know how to achieve the solution or how to reach the goal. And also think about, is the atmosphere free from personal conflict? Personal conflict will drag a group down. I've seen groups who are going to present on a particular topic fail to present because there was personal conflict. Also think about, well, does the group communication stay within the agenda? Yes, have some personal small talk here and there, talk about what the kids did last week, talk about the game, but is that helping you guys stay with the agenda? Is there too much small talk? Is there too much discussion about things that don't really relate to what you're doing, that don't help the group overall? That's something to think about. And lastly, are members happy with the direction of the discussion? If members aren't happy, eventually they'll start to pull away from the group. They may not contribute as much, and then you may miss out on really rich ideas. So, let's go back to that dream world where every single group that we've ever been in or ever will be in has been perfect in some ways, has been exceptionally successful, and has made us happy. Maybe if we work just a little bit harder, we can get a little bit closer to that dream.